Hello there. It has been so long that I've filmed that my camera had dust on it, which is a little upsetting. But it's Summerween time and I decided it's time to come out of hibernation. Today I am going to be starting Summerween. This will be going from, I think it's the 5th through the 12th. I created like a fake TBR, but I'm going to be honest, we're just going to kind of wing it because I've had a really hard time finding books that I actually want to read. I feel like 5 out of 10, like half the time, I'm just DNFing a book. I'm gonna start with a book that I kind of literally just picked as I was setting up the camera. It is Wrath by Sharon, Moalem, and Kraus. This, I believe, is kind of like a horror experimenting on an animal. Hopefully not graphically, but it probably will be. Thriller. It says the gripping tale of cutting-edge science set in an all-too-near future where scientific experimentation exploited for commercial gain creates a menace that threatens the very fabric of our existence. Sammy looks like a cute brown pet rat, but he's anything but. He's smart, very smart, and he's aware of the tortures inflicted on his kind in the name of science. When Sammy engineers his escape from a biotech lab, the world is ill-equipped to deal with the danger he represents, the potential to sire a rodent army capable of annihilating the human race. The key to Sammy's capture and humanity's salvation may be 10-year-old Dallas Underhill, whom Sammy adopts. Dallas's scientifically enhanced hearing implants sensitize him to Sammy's own specialness, and while they bond, time is running out. It's also touted as Ratatouille meets World War Z. By Grady Hendrix. Looking at the prompts, we're going to try to fulfill those based on this book. Okay, it does say this, I think this will fulfill prompt number 2, which is read a horror or thriller book. It does sound like this is going to be a thriller. Yeah, a thrill ride from start to finish. It'll make you laugh, cry, quiver. That's interesting. Read a book with the sky in the cover. This is the city and the sky. Also, if you can't tell, this is like a rat's eyeball. But there is sky if I want to be really dumb. Read a book you've owned for more than a year. Let's double check that really quickly. Damn, okay. It doesn't do that. It was last Christmas. He got it for me. And then read a novella, manga, or listen to a spooky audiobook. So it looks like it's just going to fulfill prompt number 2, which is fine. I've kind of held on to this one for a while because I generally have found that I enjoy, like, I don't know if this is from his perspective, but something about reading very intricate animal stories. For instance, The Bees was one of my favorite books ever. The Animosity series is amazing. There was another questionable book that I will put on here that I did as like an e-arc back in the day. Kind of right up my alley. Anyways, I'm gonna put my hair back up because I only did this for the intro, and get a coffee and we will start this. Plans today, I think we're gonna do some gardening because we need to upkeep the lawns, and then probably just read. Like it's the last 2 days of my vacation before I go back to work normally, and I'm very excited to spend them on just like not thinking about work. This will be the last time I think about work for the next 2 days. I was hoping to sneak in an update yesterday, but Jose and I just were hanging out too much. I just didn't feel like disrupting that, having that weird like, I'm gonna update my vlog moment. I did have a great reading day yesterday. I am about halfway through. Yeah, almost exactly halfway through. I will say, as someone who is pretty sensitive to like animal cruelty and descriptions of death, like animal death, and weird descriptions of like animal experimentation, this is exponentially more intense than I thought it was going to be, which I guess the whole concept I should have been a little bit more clued in, especially in the first clip. I feel like I probably was very like, it's going to be a lot, but it was a lot more than I expected. I will say about here, so it's like the third part, about 130 pages in, I think we've gotten to the point where the animal experimentation, like gross, extremely detailed, disturbing things have passed. Like, kind of getting into the book itself, the first portion, the first few parts are these two doctors. Well, no, not really. One of them is a doctor, Sienna, who has actually created the different ways to change these rats and make them more appealing, because that is the goal of this company. The company is Edited Pets. And we have Noah, who created the program, kind of based off a different program that does different like gene splicing and helps you like change different genes in people. Obviously they can't do experimentation on people, but that's kind of how they get away with the patent on this and the ability to work on it. And so Noah has done that. Noah is kind of think like this really extreme tech bro, but now we've been introduced, like I said, like at that point where I think the intensely disturbing stuff ends. We are introduced to our character Dallas, who is, I think he's 10 or 11, and he has a cochlear hearing aid implant. Dallas has possession, more or less, of the rat Sammy. Because of Dallas's cochlear implant, he's able to hear on like a higher decibel, I guess, or like a different decibel, and is able to actually hear Sammy speak. Like, he actually speaks like a human. Again, the dark and disturbing stuff I think will probably scare away a lot of people. Typically it would scare away myself, but I am enjoying the writing style. Something that I've enjoyed in the past with science fiction, and specifically sometimes disturbing horror and like body horror, is that the description makes it scarily real, and so I'm just drawn in despite how insanely dark it is. And considering I read so much yesterday, I have a feeling I might be able to finish this today or early tomorrow, which is very odd for me. I'm not typically able to sit down and read this type of book in such a quick time. So now that I've blabbed enough, I'm gonna go grab my coffee and sit down with this for a little while. It is finally Monday, and I'm actually back with a lot of updates. I have finished Wrath. I gave this a 5 out of 5 stars, and I don't think there's a good way for me to justify it. I think that the reason that I did end up giving this a 5 star is because it started to get much more heavy-handed in the reason why a book like this would be written. First of all, kind of making you face those disgusting horrors that are real in the scientific world. There's a scene where Sammy and the boy Dallas are in the Natural History Museum in New York City. And obviously a Natural History Museum, there's a lot of displays of animals, including taxidermied animals. And for a rat, a literal animal who has consciousness, that's extremely disturbing. And so that's where it got kind of reflective of like, why are these on display? Like, why would you do this to animals? And obviously we have an interesting perspective of the rat is more intelligent than the human character in that time. And so it's a little bit flippant of like, well, duh, like, of course we have animals, like, you need to study them. And then it also talks a bit about hunting animals and how, like, typically if somebody has like a deer head mounted on their wall, that's not because they absolutely required deer meat, it's because they just wanted a trophy, the ability to kill something. And I feel like that was really important to address, because not only was it like, oh, here's the scientific application, here are animals that are taxidermied, maybe they died of natural causes, but also just the fact that outside of scientific research, there's just this need for humans to overpower something and own it and just be like, I killed this thing. I didn't need to, I just wanted to. Obviously, if you don't want to do the reflection of being like, here's why it's wrong, they do lay it out, and it's a little heavy-handed at that moment. I really loved it, despite how intense it was. I think that the scientific detail got me. I think that that's something I really enjoy in books, is like when you don't have to sit back and ask. Again, this is something super within my preferences. I like to know like the lore. I want to know all of the gritty details of something, and in this case, even if it was just super disturbing. So now that I've ranted enough, I did move on to the next book, and I actually have another book lined up, but the one that I'm reading right now is Pinata by Leopoldo Gout. I just picked this up, actually, that's a lie. I picked this one up probably like a year ago and just wasn't clicking with the audiobook version of it. Carmen Sanchez is back in Mexico supervising the renovation of an ancient abbey. Her daughters Isel and Luna, too young to be left alone in New York, join her in what Carmen hopes is a chance for them to connect with their roots. Then an accident at the worksite unearths a stash of rare, centuries-old artifacts. The disaster costs Carmen her job, cutting the family trip short. But something malevolent and unexplainable follows them home to New York, stalking the Sanchez family and heralding a coming catastrophe, and it may already be too late to escape what's been awakened. This one, I believe, counts toward read a book that's been that I've owned for more than a year. Technically the physical book I've owned for more than a year. I think I bought it last January. The audiobook I'm going to read is going to fulfill another prompt, which is read a novella, manga, or listen to a spooky audiobook. And it's technically a novella and an audiobook because it's only like 2 hours. I think it's like 100 pages. So that is Sour Candy by Kealan Patrick Burke. I don't know anything about this one, but my experience with short horror is that a lot of them are typically really intense. So it says, at first glance, Phil Pendleton and his son Adam are just an ordinary father and son, no different from any other. They take walks in the park together, visit county fairs, museums, and zoos, and eat together overlooking the lake. Some might say the father is a little too accommodating, given the lack of discipline when the child loses his temper in public. Some might say he spoils his son by allowing him to eat candy whenever he wants and set his own bedtimes. Some might say that such leniency is starting to take its toll on the father, given how his health has declined. What no one knows is that Phil is a prisoner, and that up until a few weeks ago and a chance encounter at a grocery store, he had never seen the child before in his life. And so I'm curious if the child itself is going to be some sort of demonic presence, because this is classified as paranormal, occult, supernatural. So we will see. I'll probably be able to finish majority of it today while I'm taking a walk outside, and then probably going to the gym later. I'm excited. We have a lot of things happening. I feel like I'm like, for once, in a good reading headspace. I really hope that sour candy doesn't fuck it all up. Not doing a great job of updating you more than once a day, but that's kind of whatever. So yesterday I ended up doing, I want to say, about 1.25 miles on my walk outside. It was disgusting. I didn't have a hat, so I was like dripping sweat, because I usually like have a hat to cover my face. Insert awkward photo here of me sweating over the AC. But I did get quite a bit a ways through the audiobook for Sour Candy. I got about an hour in because I was on 2 times speed. The male narrator was speaking like very slowly. Usually like in public, or if there's like noises, I can't do 2 times speed, but this one was pretty easy. 34%. Yeah, got almost halfway through. I feel like we've just barely kind of broached the idea that somehow he's not this kid's father. Like, there was a whole intro scene where he sees a kid freaking out with a woman, and then all of a sudden now the police think that this is his kid, and he's like, I have a girlfriend, we don't have kids, and they're like, you don't have a girlfriend. So it's a little odd, but we're finally getting into like the weird, like unexplainable, paranormal-y, supernatural kind of stuff, and I'm enjoying it. It's fine. It kind of feels like a little bit of a Twilight Zone episode where you're just like, what the hell is happening? I don't think it's gonna be like a favorite book unless something weird happens. But Pinata, I am, I think, like almost 30%. I have a huge font on. Basically, I read this at the laundromat, and then I somehow managed to also go do cardio at the gym for like 45 minutes, which getting to 10,000 steps a day is just a feat. I don't know how active people do it. Having a desk job and then doing 10,000 steps just seems absolutely insane. Pinata though, I am liking it. It's just a little slower. I think because I'm like getting off the heels of having read Wrath, which was like constant action. Things are constantly changing. There's so much information being thrown at you. This is very subdued by comparison. And right now we're kind of seeing the introduction of indigenous Mexican people and how their like views on spirituality and like what they keep kind of like downplay it, because Carmen, our main character, is, well, one of the main characters, is originally born in Mexico, but she grew up, I believe, the most years in the United States, and now she's being introduced to people saying like something's weird, something is inhabiting the Abbey where you work, something's following you, and she's like, you're crazy, that's made up, that's like magic, it's fake. But we have now the other perspective. I believe her name is Yotzi. We have this outside perspective who is an indigenous Mexican woman, and she's like, listen, like, I have these visions and I have this connection, and you just need to believe me. Like, that's just how it is. Maybe we'll go do like a walk around like a pond. There's a cool like pond area around me, just to give my eyes something different than like the area that I live in. We are going to go do this. We're gonna have a good Tuesday. I did the stupid thing of like working past 5. I am salary, but you ever just get pissed off? I don't know. Weird work day. I don't know. I just like, I'm on edge right now. Anyways, it is late. It is 6:30. I did finish sour candy on my previous walk, which was way longer than I meant for it to be. I had to like sit in front of the AC for probably half an hour to cool my face down. Let's figure out this lighting a little differently. If you can tell, my rosacea is just acting up from some of the walks that I've been doing this week. But Sour Candy, I really haven't thought about. Let me return this audiobook. I think I'm gonna give it a 3.5 out of 5 stars. I'm only using half stars nowadays because they are allowed on Storygraph, but yeah, like a 3.5 out of 5. It wasn't my favorite, and I do feel like 80% of the story is in the description of the book, which kind of sucked. I liked it overall, and I liked that it actually like it really looked into somebody that's like, everyone around me thinks I'm crazy, and they just kind of have this like quick spiral moment of like, yeah, I'm fucking like, this is why I'm crazy, and like this is all the shit you're missing, and no one around them can see it happening. I think I'll think about it, but mostly just because parts of it were really weird. It was kind of gruesome, but I feel like the paranormal and like the creepy, annoying creepy kind of aspects were more what happened. I do need to go get the rest of my steps in, so let me actually look really quickly and see if anything else on my TBR is available as an audiobook. You can't see it really, but I have this book just off screen, this pile of books just off screen, where I was trying to figure out if I wanted to put them off for a lot longer, but like in general, I'm super excited to read them or think that I have high hopes for them. And one of them that I didn't expect to be on here was Ghost Station by S.A. Barnes. I was able to get it as an audiobook from Hoopla. Let's read. I didn't expect to do this one. Like, this is a longer book. It's 14 hours, almost 15. Psychologist Dr. Ophelia Bray has dedicated her life to the study and prevention of Eckhart-Reiser syndrome, ERS, the most famous case of which resulted in the brutal murders of 29 people. It's personal to her, and when she's assigned to a small exploration crew who recently suffered the tragic death of a colleague, she wants to help. But as they begin to establish residency on an abandoned planet, it becomes clear that the crew is hiding something. Her crewmates are far more interested in investigating the eerie ancient planet and unraveling the mystery behind the previous colonizers' hasty departure than opening up to her. That is, until their pilot is discovered gruesomely murdered. So yeah, very interested. I feel like I might be able to also read this a little bit tonight when I get back, because I need to read in the dark, and this seems like a good read in the dark book. So all that blabbing, we're gonna go take another walk. I need about 4,000 steps to hit my goal for the day. Let's get outside before it gets too dark. I think we're like 2 hours away from sundown though, so out we go.